Today, the United States seized two oil tankers linked to Venezuela. One of the oil tankers is a Russian-flagged vessel, and the seizure occurred in the Atlantic Ocean near Iceland. The oil tanker has been playing a bit of a cat-and-mouse game with the United States. It began about December 21st when the now seized oil tanker evaded a U.S. blockade. The second oil tanker was seized in the Caribbean. Republican Texas Congressman and member of the House Intelligence Committee, Dan Crenshaw, joins me. Good afternoon, sir. And where is this going to lead? I mean, Russia calls it piracy of the tanker we seized near Iceland. But what do you foresee is going to happen?
Well, we've seized it. We're going to take it. And we're going to keep seizing cargo ships that are sanctioned with legal court-ordered warrants on them. Look, I mean, we've had sanctions forever on this stuff, but if sanctions without seizures, well, those are just suggestions. It's not enforcement. The Trump administration is very clearly set some red lines and wants to keep its leverage over the interim Venezuelan government. And you only keep that leverage if you continue to ensure that they understand that we are very serious. The Venezuelan government cannot operate if we continue this embargo on its shadow fleet, so we actually do have to keep enforcing what we say we're going to enforce. So this does become this sort of geopolitical chess game. That's why the Russians were actually willing to send assets to try and save the ship, because now maybe there's something on that ship that we don't know about. I certainly actually do not know that information right now. But it is also likely that it's just a ship, and it really is just a thing that has to be won by each side in order to prove to everyone else that they're the stronger power. Of course, we're America, we won again. So happy to see these actions by the Trump administration.
You mentioned a shadow fleet. There seems to be quite a market for this shadow fleet, these huge oil tankers out there. I suspect that they're not in the best shape, because they're usually sort of second or third or fourth hand that are floating around there. But certainly, who's ever wheeling and dealing in a shadow fleet must know that it's an effort to evade sanctions and to evade other things as well. Is there any effort to investigate who's selling these shadow fleet oil tankers?
Yeah, I heard you mention that before. It's earlier in your remarks. It's a good question. I'm not an expert on how maritime sales go, but it's certainly a question worth investigating. My intuition, though, is that these are often sold as legitimate tankers and then resold on the black market as illegitimate tankers. I mean, to become illegitimate is simply a matter of what's painted on the side and what kind of flag it's using and to what purposes it's being used for. So, something can be legitimate and become illegitimate the next day.
Well, it certainly seems like someone has a guilty conscience if they change the flag and paint a new name on it as the U.S. is in hot pursuit. It certainly seems like somebody's up to no good.
Yeah. Oh, of course. And that's something that just proved our point. Now, this had already been sanctioned a year before anyway, so we've been following this for a while.
All right, turning now to Venezuela. How much involvement or lack of involvement would you recommend the president have going forward? Right now the former vice president is now the president. But what would be your advice to the president?
Our president, our president or the Venezuelan president? I assume you mean ours. I think they're on the right track. I think this is really a Department of State mission at the moment. It's a diplomatic mission, and we're telling them, look, we have all the leverage over you. You cannot liquefy your assets. You cannot get money into your economy unless we let you, because of the embargo. Again, this is why it's so important for us to actually enforce those sanctioned ships, which we are doing, and why we're making that deal today to transport 30 to 50 billion barrels of oil to the U.S. And then come up with a deal on those proceeds. So the goal in the immediate term is to work with these people that we really don't like. We don't like them. They are communists through and through. But we are being practical. And to the extent that they don't want to be practical, again, these Venezuelan communists, that they don't want to move down this path, and this path should end up in free and fair elections. That is the ultimate goal. But we want to stabilize the country first. We want to make sure that moving toward that goal is done responsibly. And to the extent that they want to veer away from it, I think they now know that we are willing to take action. And so this really is a diplomatic effort moving forward with the military standing by should it need to be.
But there's time on our side, because right now they have a broken economy. I mean, the economy in Venezuela is just in shambles. It has an inflation rate of over 500% or something outrageous like that, compared to our less than 3%. They can't bring oil online right away because the refineries that they have are so degraded because no one's been able to work with them forever. So in order to get Venezuela sort of up and running, it is going to take years.
Yeah, it will. It'll take investment. I bet there's a lot of oil companies, like as the president has mentioned, a lot of our oil companies chomping at the bit to get after it and do that investment. Now, it does take years. Now, 30 to 50 billion barrels is not nothing. That's pretty significant, and it should be known that American refineries are actually designed around oil like Venezuela's oil, that thick crude, heavy crude. So that's why this deal makes a lot of sense for both the U.S. and Venezuela if they want to survive, and why I think we haven't seen details of it yet. We've just got the generalities of it, but we're 72 hours in, not bad that we're already making those kind of deals.
Congressman Dan Crenshaw, thank you, sir.
Sure. Thanks for having me.